Yes. I'm about to watch the entire Chris Chibnall era. Guys, I can't lie, I've been dreading this day. A lot of you have been waiting eagerly to hear my thoughts on this era. Well done you. Today is your lucky day. When I originally heard the announcement of the first female Doctor back in 2017, God, was I excited. Finally, something fresh. Something this show could explore. A new take on the Doctor. Oh yeah, this is going to be heckin' epic. I even started watching things that Jodie Whittaker had been in, and I was getting very excited. Wow, we've got a great actress taking on the role. I really cannot wait to see what this era is going to bring. Oh cool, a release date trailer. How exciting. When will this epic new era start? Oops. Glorious, got a chance to start again. Oh, they forgot to put the release date in the release date trailer. They were so busy putting in this really subtle metaphor that I'm sure nobody noticed, by the way, that they actually forgot to put the release date in the release date trailer.
It says it's the release date trailer. I didn't even notice the release date. Did I miss a release date?
How epic. It's okay, though, because they've released a second teaser trailer. Oh, now we should know what we're in for, right? Well, we get Ryan sitting down. Okay, well, at least we get Yaz, who's sitting down. Okay, cool. And then we get Graham. Oh, okay, well, he's standing up. Okay. And then we get the Doctor, who's fading in from nowhere. Okay, how am I supposed to get excited by this? Right, just for comparison, guys. Series 1 teaser trailer, epic. Russell T Davies explosions. We've got Christopher Eccleston going, "Why are you, man? Come with me, lad. It's fucking like dangerous, that lake." Series 2, David's all like, "Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet. Come with me. Really proper dangerous and scary. We're going to be fighting monsters and all sorts." Then we've got Matt Smith's one. Although it's hilariously bad, this actually shows the monsters and the Doctor and Amy talking. I'm getting a general idea for this series. Even Peter Capaldi's like, "I'm a good man. I'm a good man. I don't actually know if I'm a good man or not." Giving us a little taster of what he's like as the Doctor. This is poor. My hopes are not very high going into this era, guys. And now I am going to sit down and watch every single episode and rank them in my juicy little tier list. From yes, perfect to God awful. Obviously, there's going to be some Chibrington and Jodie fans here, and I will say, right, if you're going to get angry at me for this video, I would probably suggest leaving now. I have a very strong distaste for this era. And before you start cracking your knuckles to type the meanest comment you can think of, right, this has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the Doctor is a woman, right? Let's make that very clear. I may take issue with some of the dialogue referencing the Doctor as a woman. However, the Doctor being a woman doesn't bother me. Anyways, guys, enough waffle. You guys have been waiting. It's time to get started with the Chis Chibnall era review. God help us all. Series 11, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Well, we start by meeting Ryan, who is a YouTuber. Well, I'll tell you what, this is interesting, right? Well, in this generation of wannabe YouTubers, such as myself, I can relate to him. So clearly, he's a character who loves making videos, right? Right? We learn that Ryan, well, he has dyspraxia. So Ryan's grandmother and Bradley Walsh, they decide, well, in support of his dyspraxia, they're going to teach him how to ride a bike on the edge of a cliff. Yes, that's correct. A cliff. We do, however, get some very lovely visuals, and then, oh, big piece of garlic appears in the forest. Then we meet Yaz, a traffic warden pretending to be police at this point. Yaz gets called in to have a look at this big space garlic, where she meets Ryan, and she's like, "Hey up, we went to school together." And then there's this really awkward exposition exchange. Lovely. Bradley Walsh has some strange obsession with the fact that Ryan doesn't call him Grandad.
Do you ever think he's going to call me Grandad? Give him time.
Even though he is not his granddad. If this was his stepdad who'd like raised him all his life, I might understand this issue, but he's not. Anyway, train crashes, insert spaghetti monster. It's okay though, because Jodie has fallen into the train. Wow, and she gets up like she hasn't just fallen from space.
And why do you need to check CCTV when we all saw it with our own eyes?
And Doctor, you do understand what evidence is, right? If Yaz doesn't report this, we've got 5 potential suspects just out on the loose. And Yaz is simply putting her job at risk because strange alien woman told her to. Wow. The Doctor then does some weird kooky finger up the nose, "Look at me, I'm regenerating," tripe, and then passes out. It is then revealed that everyone has literal bombs in their neck, and this is their reaction.
How did we get them? Never mind that. Are they going to go off?
Seriously? Just literal bombs? No one cares. Okay, cool. The Doctor then wipes Ryan's phone, and this is his reaction.
Have you formatted your phone?
No, all my stuff's on there.
Not anymore.
Are these real human beings? Rishi Sunak then gets game ended by the Tooth Fairy. Then it gets really out of pocket. Ryan then says, "Oh, sorry, it's kind of my fault that Big Garlic is here." And this is what Graham says.
I suppose you'll be blaming this on the dyspraxia as well. Can't ride a bike, started an alien invasion.
Graham?
Christ, Bradley! That's a bit out of order, mate. The Doctor then just builds a sonic screwdriver. Okay. It's got this really horrendous sounding royalty-free soundtrack playing over the top of it. This drunk man really hates salad, so he throws it at the Tooth Fairy. Big mistake. He then gets sucked off.
When you say soon-to-be leader, what are you now, the office junior?
Ooh, zing! Yeah, you really got him there, Doctor. Somebody put her on a leash. She is out of control. So, they all climb a crane to stop the big scary Tooth Fairy. Jodie then gives her first "I'm the Doctor" speech, and it just falls flat, man.
I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor.
Look, even the Tooth Fairy jumps off the edge because he wasn't into it. Look, I'll let it slide for now because it is Jodie's first episode. It's very fresh. Fuck, the Ryan's nan gets absolutely game ended. Guys, we're supposed to care, even though she had like 4 minutes of screen time. Wow, isn't this emotional? But it turns out Ryan was talking about his nan in this YouTube video, not the Doctor. Wow. You could at least give this YouTube video a better title. Psh, dude, you're never going to get views with a title like that. The Doctor then gets changed, and it's so underwhelming. All the Doctors have looked so cool with their signature look. It's really important that every Doctor's look gives off that "I'm the most important person in the room" vibe. Jodie's outfit does not do this at all. I don't really know why, it just looks shit. The Doctor then gets them all lost in space, thus concluding the first episode of the Chib era. Right, this episode is nothing special. Sure, it's not completely terrible, and I will say it's probably one of the best episodes of the Chibnall era. This is going to take some getting used to, right? I will say this though, Jodie does okay at times getting the basics of the Doctor right, I guess. That's the bare fucking minimum. The visuals to this episode are very beautiful as well, but other than that, there's not really much more to say. Guys, I'm going to put this episode in okay. Hooray. The Ghost Monument. The visuals for the new intro are gorgeous, by the way. Very trippy, I like it. And the episode even opens with some beautiful visuals as well. Woof, lovely stuff. How convenient. The gang gets scooped up where we meet horrible self-centered character. Uh-oh, ship is falling from the sky. What does everyone do? Let's all run in a straight line. Let's not bother jumping out to the side or climbing up and getting out. Let's just run forward, guys. Because it wouldn't look good in the trailers if they did that, right? I realise that the soundtrack in this series so far sounds like it should be in fucking Terraria or whatever it's called.
Sorry about the mess.
Yaz, you're alive? We thought you were dead.
We thought you were dead. Sorry about the mess.
Yaz, you're alive? We thought you were dead.
We thought you were dead.
There's also literally no reaction to them finding out they're on an alien planet. I am convinced these are not human beings we're looking at, guys. Anyway, there's this big competition to get to the Ghost Monument to win some big boy bucks. This man that we meet here, well, he places the high stakes, right? This planet is super deadly. Don't even touch the air, right? Because it will kill you. God damn, there's going to be some tension in this episode, right? Miserable man explains why he is miserable, all because his mum pranked him by telling him to jump out of a tree. Els. The next sequence is this woman dumping exposition, but I was so bored I didn't take any of it in. I don't care for this character at all. It feels like in this episode we have scene where we talk about the plot. The next scene is characters explain their characteristics. Next scene, talking about the plot. There's no fluent or natural dialogue in any of these scenes so far. It just seems like formula. And why does Jodie use her sonic screwdriver like this? It looks so awkward. Anyway, they're under attack by some robots, and we get our first glimpse of the Chibnall era aiming. Oh, look at this.
Everything within the perimeter is target practice.
Yeah, fucking looks like they need it. Right, this whole sequence is such a ball ache, right? Ryan, the dyspraxic character, picks up a gun and starts shooting with perfect aim because of Call of Duty. Listen, right, I enjoy a bit of the old Call of Booty. But that doesn't mean I know how to aim a real gun. The Doctor then gives him a lecture about how guns are so bad. Don't you ever touch a gun again because I hate guns. Guns are really, like, not cool, bruh. And what does she then do? She then fries their systems. She gave this whole lecture about how killing is wrong, how shooting these non-alive robots was really bad, but she equally used a weapon that had the same outcome. What to make it make sense? I think Chris Chibnall is getting a bit confused about why the Doctor doesn't like guns. Oh no! The monster of this episode is a cloth. How scary. Ugh.
And one other thing about it. But we'll all have to dig deep for that, right?
The fact that the Doctor is visually scared and literally trembling over this is... I'm sorry, what? Is this the Doctor we're watching right now? But all is good because she blows up the cloths with a cigar. Jesus. All is good, though, because the TARDIS appears. Way! Can I just ask something, all right? And I can tell that some of you are going to start getting irritated with me now because it seems like I'm nitpicking. When Jodie is playing the Doctor, for some reason, she's always so out of breath.
Sort of. Not really.
Oh, my God. It's my TARDIS. Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Guys, I don't mean to startle you. Sorry, give me a minute. Basically... Whew, I've actually gone dizzy.
You've redecorated.
Gee, what an original line. You know what, guys? I never thought I would say this. I want Matt Smith's TARDIS back. God, this TARDIS looks terrible. Why is it so dark? And even though it's bigger on the inside, look how cramped it is. Literally, look at this shot. It just goes to show how poorly designed this TARDIS was, right? The camera crew can't even fit in it. God, the soundtrack. I am yet to hear a piece of music in this era that sounds good. So much exposition dumping, stupid moments, shite villains, confused characteristics from the Doctor. Guys, no. This is shambolic. Get it in the bin. This is going straight in God awful. Good night. We now move on to Rosa. The Doctor and gang land in America 1955. There is this great sequence where Ryan gets slapped up by a racist until it's interrupted by the Doctor fangirling over Rosa Parks. What annoys me about this sequence, she has the most unnatural reaction out of everyone there. Then, because it's Doctor Who, we have to cram an alien into the story. There is this horrendous conversation about who Rosa Parks is. Ryan says he can't remember who Rosa Parks is.
First black woman to ever drive a bus.
No, Ryan.
What?
And then chips in with this.
And all this basically kicked off the US civil rights movement led by Martin Luther King.
Are these human beings, are these real human beings having a conversation right now? It's all delivered so unnaturally.
Hey, we will stop somewhere else to eat though, won't we?
No time, Graham.
Graham. Seriously, Jodie delivers her lines like she's in a pantomime at times, and it's actually infuriating. Wow, interrupted by space racists with terrible aim.
Meanwhile, we've got an out-of-time imposter skulking at the bus works with a temporal displacement weapon.
Imposter among us. I will say, I quite like the sequence where the racist pigman is looking for Ryan, yeah? Nice little bit of tension there. What does confuse me about this episode, though, there is this blatant romantic chemistry building between Yaz and Ryan, but obviously this is before Chris Chibnall decided he wanted to do some queer baiting later on. The Doctor and Krasko have this cringy face-off.
Oops. Shame.
We then go to the sequence in which Rosa protests. And I think this sequence is shot absolutely beautifully. However, it is completely ruined by this song playing over the top. What? This sort of thing just does not suit Doctor Who. Now, don't get me wrong, we've had it in Christmas specials where a real song's played and it's all fun, yeah. But in an episode where you're handling such a sensitive topic, to play this over the top, oh my God. I just can't help but feel like Murray Gold would have made a beautiful track playing over the top of this in particular sequence, but nope, we've got this, and we'll rise up, and it plays over the credits as well. Oh no. Listen, I can applaud this episode for tackling a very sensitive topic. And fair play, it's not really been done in New Who. It focuses on some very serious issues of the time. However, Jodie in this episode is so poor, and the way this set of characters just deliver dialogue is so unnatural that I'm watching this and I don't feel like I'm watching human beings. The space racist guy was absolute crap, and the best parts of this episode were the parts of the episode that weren't related to Doctor Who in any way. Ugh. Frustrating, guys. And some of you are going to be in my comment section again. You're just really bitter for no reason. No. Have I been over generous at times with some of these episodes in my rankings? Yes. Have I been over nasty sometimes? Of course I have. But this is just an era that just is so confusing to me. It makes no sense. So I will say we focus on a very sensitive topic in this episode, and I quite like it. I like how the companions actually feel the repercussions of the time era they're actually in. Very good. The episode is shot beautifully, and that is literally really all I can give it. I'm putting this episode in okay. We're 4 episodes into series 11, and we're already down to a cult classic, Arachnids in the UK. Oh boy. Say hello to blatant Donald Trump caricature.
Yes, I'll be the general manager.
You're fired.
Pardon?
You're fired.
I'm not gonna lie, guys, this character is kind of based, and I love it. Doctor brings everyone home, then does this really annoying, like, oh, I guess I'll just fly away in my little box forever and ever all on my own. Hey, Doc Governor, do you want to come in it, mate? Oh, boy, I'd love to. God, dinner at Yaz's, can't fucking wait. I feel like you guys are going to think I've got some real thing against Jodie Whittaker. I don't. But why does she keep using the sonic screwdriver like this? It's so unnecessarily dramatic. You're opening a fucking door. You're not guiding a fucking landing aeroplane. Oh my god, it is arachnids in the UK. Wow, this is decent CGI, to be fair.
I don't answer to you. What are you, 15? You should be in school.
I don't know why I like this character, man. I just quite like it.
Me and Amelia Earhart. You'd like her, she's a right laugh.
Oh my god, Christopher, we get it. The Doctor's been about. Doesn't have to constantly name drop when it has zero relevance. And it isn't funny. And while this is all going on, Ryan has nothing to do. He's literally in the background making shadow puppets whilst there's some important dialogue going on. Anyways, Big Spider attacks Donald Trump and the gang gets involved.
I eat danger for breakfast. I don't. I prefer cereal.
Shut up, 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 shut up. Anyway, guys, it turns out that Donald Trump built his hotel on a landfill with spider bodies. They allude to this cataclysmically sized spider that would be ginormous enough to destroy the planet or whatever. This is the biggest spider we see in the episode. That was the biggest spider. Anyways, guys, their plan is to trap all of the spiders into a safe room to let them have a humane and natural death. Right. They attract the spiders by playing some BG media.
Yo, yeah, slide the biff there, I'm gonna yo.
I honestly hate this so much. Anyway, they find the big spider struggling and suffocating. So, what happens? Donald Trump comes in and shoots it, puts it out of his misery. And the Doctor is livid by this. Why? It's so funny to me that this character and this episode was written for us to hate this Donald Trump man and be on the Doctor's side. But the way this episode is written has had the complete opposite effect. The Doctor is annoyed because she thinks the spider should have just slowly suffocated to death. What? Ugh, this episode is so frustrating. The Doctor just isn't right. That's all I'm going to put this down to. The Doctor isn't right. Anyway, there's pretty much no resolution. We don't see what happens to the rest of the spiders. It literally just cuts to the 3 of them standing in the TARDIS and quite literally saying, "Oh, Doctor, you're the best person we've ever met." Yeah, Doc, like, you're quite lit, is it? Doctor, I fucking hate my family. I just kind of wish they'd all die at this point, so I'd rather be with you so I can avoid going home at any point. Thanks, love. And then they go sauntering away into time and space. It's so ironic that the thing you're supposed to hate in this episode is the one thing I actually liked about it. Not because it was good, it was just funny. Raised the stakes so high just to be greeted with a few slightly overgrown CGI spiders in a hotel that didn't actually do very much. This episode really should have just been called Spiders in the Travelodge or something. Arachnids in the UK. Jokers. Jodie again is so unbearable in this episode and the writing is absolutely shambolic. Put this episode in God awful, for God's sake. Get out. The Tsunjongarunga conundrum. So the gang find a sonic spaceman and then they end up on this spaceship. Wow.
General Cicero. Not Eve Cicero. Keep a galaxy. You helped defeat the army of the Eons at the Battle of the Underkind.
There is something about exposition dumps like this that just make me so angry. Say, for instance, I was to walk into a room and meet David Tennant. I would not walk up to him and be like, "Oh my god, David Tennant, actor, best known for playing the 10th Doctor in the hit series Doctor Who went on to do many other projects such as Broadchurch, The Good Omens, Des. You've literally won National Television Awards and BAFTAs and all sorts. That's not how we talk to people. gets on my nerves. Anyway, something breaks into the space hospital. Oh my god, the way they build it up is so dramatic and tense, and you think, oh shit, whatever's broken into this ship must be horrific. This is the monster. Yep. That's the one. But isn't it funny and quirky? Because it eats things that are bigger than it, and it eats it all up like a cartoon. Oh my god, it's so cute. It's like the adipose all over again. You know what makes me laugh? In every single episode of the series so far, the Doctor gives the get off this ship / planet. I'm the Doctor. This is a level 5 planet, yada yada. She just gets ignored.
Off this ship, back into space, right now, else you'll have me to deal with.
There's a really glaring issue with this Doctor, and it's her lack of authority. The main reason for this is because when she does give one of her I'm right, you're wrong speeches, everyone just sort of stands there and agrees or just doesn't react. Nobody challenges the Doctor in this series whatsoever. They all just sit back and go, yes, Doctor, you are correct. All the time. Well done, you. And to back up this point, the Doctor gives a speech about how she's going to save everyone, and no one reacts.
I'm the Doctor, these are my friends. We will pool all our brilliance and get us all safely to Rhesus 1.
And this is nothing to do with the Doctor having a lack of authority because she's a woman, because this woman comes onto the scene, literally speaks 2 lines of dialogue, and I believe her more than the Doctor.
If we're going to live through this, protect the antimatter drive.
Snap!
Long, boring story short, right? The Doctor feeds the Pating thing a bomb and ejects it. Day is saved. Hooray! In typical filler fashion, boring story, terribly designed monster that is just so unthreatening. More of that Doctor just incessantly talking non-stop. And not only that, she literally gets sidelined in her own show. There is not one thing I like about this episode at all. Guess what, guys? This is going to be quite common, isn't it? It's going to be quite common. It's going in God awful. Demons of the Punjab. So it turns out that Yaz's nan was the first married woman in Pakistan. Yeah, that's just not true though, is it? It's just not true. Also, such a brilliant accomplishment, and she's only bringing this up now? So the Doctor agrees to take the gang to Pakistan during the partition of India. I will say this character here, his line delivery is fucking atrocious.
But we agreed. Okay, get in.
Graham sits and tells Yaz that her nan lying is completely fine, and that human beings should lie sometimes. That's good advice. But I will point out that Graham and Ryan have literally no reason to be in this episode, by the way. They are just so pointless. Anyway, the Doctor then lists a bunch of stuff for the gang to get.
I need oil, water, a touch of oxbit, a chicken poo, and a biscuit.
It's not explained why, it's just, haha, Doctor likes biscuits.
I haven't officiated a wedding since Einstein's. His parents didn't approve either. Non-denominational, though.
Oh my god, shut up. The Fajarians or whatever tell the Doctor their plan for some reason. Honestly, guys, this episode is so fucking boring, I'm falling asleep. There's a slow motion shot of these absolute gangsters walking up to Prem's place. I don't know, this is so cringy. Honestly, I can't tell you what's going on. This episode is so boring, I'm literally fighting for my life with this one. Also, quick question, how does Yaz's nan not remember Yaz? Considering she was there on like one of the most important days of her life? Guys, this episode is not even bad enough for me to laugh at, it's just bad. Ryan and Graham are absolutely pointless. The acting is actually horrendous. It's almost offensive. No, scratch that, it is offensive. And the story is flat out boring. It's just a Father's Day rip-off without any of the good bits. I think this episode was just really bigged up because, oh, it's about the partition of India. Oh, this is really sensitive and different. Yeah, that's great and all, but it still has to be good and watchable. It's not either of those things. Call me harsh. I'll put this episode in god awful. Yeah. Oh, strap yourselves in for this one, guys. It's time for Kaplunk. We get straight into the action when Amazon delivery robot appears. This is where we get Jodie at her most irritating.
He's the Kaplan man! It's the what? The Kaplan man!
The gang land on a moon, which is a giant Amazon warehouse, and the Doctor just can't stop raving about it. She thinks it's brilliant. And Jodie just keeps banging on about loving the Kablam man. Oh, I love the Kablam man. He's so lit into all of it. Oh, and by the way, the Doctor just actively supports robots taking over everyone's jobs. Yeah, nice. That's cool, Doc, innit? That's nice. Wow, Lee Mack is in this episode for some much needed comic relief, although something tells me he's going to be game ended. Yeah. Yeah, he was. I will say this. The cinematography in this episode is spectacular, right? Really quite amazing. Anyway, so people start going missing and the fam want to solve the mystery.
Oh, talking of wasps, did I ever tell you about me and Agatha Christie?
Seriously, I'm going to start throwing shit at the walls in a minute. Every episode, it is actually ridiculous. So for those of you that don't remember this episode fully all the way through, Charlie, he is against automation and believes that people should still be able to work. So he protests. His big plan, for some reason, is to send killer bubble wrap to people's houses and kill innocent people. Honestly, it makes no sense, but that's what he wants to do, I guess. So the system sent the Doctor a message to say, "Oh, help me please, I'm a system and I'm really hard done by." The system then kills Kira to get back at Charlie. Yeah, this is all where it goes a bit weird. Charlie activates the delivery process so that all the customers will be game ended. Charlie then runs in amongst all of the robots for some reason. Doctor then hacks Little Robot and changes the delivery address.
Every Kablam man to deliver to themselves.
Cool, the day has been saved. The robots don't need to open the packages. They can all go home. All the lives are saved.
I want every Kablam man to open the order they've just delivered to themselves.
Doctor, what are you doing?
Making sure they do what everybody does with bubble wrap.
Remember, if you want it, blow up.
Wow, the Doctor just killed someone. But remember, guys, guns are not cool. This is a prime example of the Doctor just not being right. The Doctor would never be in support of organisations that exploit working people. The Doctor values life too much, but here we have the Doctor absolutely sucking off Jeff Bezos for some reason. She tells Charlie,
"The systems aren't the problem. How people use and exploit the system, that's the problem."
Yep, he's the problem for fighting against worker exploitation and automation. Granted, he was going to kill innocent people, but the organisation that she is defending did exactly the same thing, an action of which the Doctor defends.
And then Kira, it took her knowing how you felt about her to show you how it would feel.
The Doctor doesn't even challenge Kablam for also killing innocent people, something the Doctor literally just killed Charlie for. Oh my god. This episode is the only episode of the series so far that actually felt somewhat like a Doctor Who episode, but the ending is just preposterous. It ends with the Kablam higher-ups agreeing to employ more people. How is this a good thing? This company breaks every employee exploitation law in the book. Oh, but let's hire more people, I guess. There are things I actually like about this episode, like the cinematography. There's a few funny little quips in there, and it did feel like a Doctor Who episode for the first 15 minutes at least. I'm putting it in not for me, and that's me being as generous as I can be, because my god, I'm pissed off. The Witchfinders. Another episode set in a forest. Oh, cool. I love forests. Yeah, you know me, guys. You know how much I love forest episodes. Woman gets dunked for being a witch when the Doctor and gang intervene. Something tells me we're in for another boring experience. Oh my god, it's Alan Cumming. He turns up with this wonderfully camp performance.
God's chosen ruler and Satan's greatest foe.
But of course, he's a sexist man.
A woman could never be the general.
Oh my god, guys, there's so much standing around talking that I'm starting to fall asleep. I can't even lie. Oh, it turns out Granny was a witch all along. The villains are right. Cool, let's roll credits. Let's go to bed. Bye-bye. No, of course not. But they do start to think that the Doctor is a witch, and the logic behind it is actually very humorous.
I have seen you with your wand raising your kin from the dead.
You said this evil fell from the heavens. Oh yes, it fell, like your lord, Lucifer.
Anyway, they chain her to a tree, and the Doctor gives yet another one of her inspirational speeches.
Security to believe that people are evil or heroic, but that's not how people are.
Yet again, her speech gets ignored.
Guards, summon the villagers.
This is so funny at this point. Literally every episode she gives one of these speeches and just gets flat out ignored. Anyway, Janice from Benidorm gets turned into the woman from Knock Knock.
Your body filled with my Morax King.
Sorry, what did she say?
Your body filled with my Morax King.
Is that... I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It sounds really sexual. And the resolution is so cliche. Send the monster back to where the monster came from with that cliche no. Ugh. The only thing that kept me watching in this episode was Alan Cumming. Now, wait a minute. I wasn't watching him do that. His name is Alan Cumming. Yeah, this episode sucks, man. It's going in not for me. Go away. Bye-bye. It takes you away. The episode starts with an absolutely beautiful shot. Wow, consider me interested. The Doctor does some quirky eat some soil tripe, and they come across a cabin in the woods. Wait a minute, is this another forest episode? What is it with this series? Every episode has been in the damn forest. They find a blind girl all on her own.
She died. I'm sorry to hear that. You must miss her.
What a stupid and robotic thing to say. That person died. You must feel really sad. You must really miss them. Well, yeah, duh.
What is that thing?
I don't know, but it sounds like it's coming from the woods.
Yeah, Ryan, that's because you're surrounded by the woods. What do you mean? Christ, honestly, Jodie's screams are so bad, honestly. Anyway, this blind girl's dad has gone missing, so the Doctor goes through this mirror portal to find an alien man called Ribbons of the Seven Stomachs.
My name is Ribbons of the Seven Stomachs.
Sure, okay, whatever. It doesn't really matter because he literally gets eaten by a moth like 5 minutes later. Oh well, rest in pieces. They find blind girl's dad. Turns out he ditched his daughter to get back with her dead mum. Honestly, the strangest sentence I've ever said. I hate to say this, guys. This story is actually somewhat intriguing. I know, yeah? Things get more intriguing when Grace appears in this alternate universe. And there's supposed to be this really emotional scene between her and Graham. But I can't buy it. I just can't buy it because both of their performances are pretty bad. And honestly, there is no chemistry between these two whatsoever. So I do not care. The Doctor then just stands there and waffles for a good 7 minutes about the Solitract. Or some bollocks. Anyway, they realise where they are, so they have to get back. And the Doctor's all like, oh no, we're stuck here forever. The portal's closed. Daz then just says,
what if you do something it hasn't dealt with before? Like reverse polarity or something.
The Doctor for some reason hadn't thought of that, and she's like, bloody hell, yes! It's like bringing Einstein on my adventures with me. By the way, have I told you I've met Einstein? Yeah, actually, I've met Einstein. He's really cool, actually. Anyway, Graham is having a really tough time leaving because, of course, he's there with his dead wife, and the Doctor comforts him.
I know how hard this is for you, but let her go.
The same thing is going on for this man, and this is how the Doctor treats him.
And impersonating your dead wife. Time to move on, mate.
So she just sat with Graham, comforting him because he was with his dead wife, but this character's going through the exact same thing, and the Doctor's just like, time to move on, you fucking pussy. Stop being such a little pussy and leave. Doctor in this era is so inconsistent. It's so blood-boiling. The Doctor then talks to a frog, where they just basically sit there and compliment each other for another 5 minutes.
You are the maddest, most beautiful thing.
What is going on? This episode was so close to being something. A really intriguing start to the story, and yet more of that beautiful cinematography, and it just fell flat. Again, constant talking at the audience from the Doctor, telling everyone what's going on all the time. Yeah, we can see, we have eyes. We get even more bloody forest, poor performances. Episode is going in not for me. So close, yet so far. SMH my head. The Battle of the Rachnos. Oh boy, it's the series finale. The series has been building towards... Honestly, what has this series been building towards? What is the arc of this series? Oh, the Tooth Fairy. You remember the guy we saw for like 5 minutes in the first episode? Honestly, his reveal is made to make us all go, oh, what? No way, Tim Shaw is back. This is such an epic twist. All we saw of him was getting abused by some salad and falling off a crane. Cool. Anyway, Graham's all like, oi, Doc Governor, if I see that little prick, I'm gonna fucking nut him. You understand me? And of course, the Doctor is all like, no, don't actually, don't even you dare right now, Graham. Oh God, because I won't let you ever kill him. Don't be naughty, Graham. And then that's the end of the conversation. Bye. Ryan, rightfully so, pulls up the Doctor for being a massive hypocrite when it comes to weapons.
A bomb.
What happened to never do weapons?
It's flexible, Creed. Fair game.
I hate this incarnation of the Doctor. She's also literally just spent the first 20 minutes of this episode just waving her sonic screwdriver around and just waffling non-stop. Hey guys, remember those really poor sniper bots from the second episode? Well, they're back again too. Honestly, none of them just thought to just aim down a little bit. Christ, these sniper bots are the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
The Orcs? Only ever 2 of you. Lifespan of millennia. Only found on 3 planets from the whole universe.
Someone please understand why this gets on my nerves so much. She does this with everyone. The exposition dumping is so annoying. Anyway, the Doctor then meets Timothy Shaw, where he says he's out for revenge against the Doctor. And instead of taking her out when he has the chance, he just spills his really boring plan and then lets her run off. What is the writing in this show? I want to cry, man. There is so much boring talking, and I feel like I'm repeating myself. Every sentence is just techno-babble nonsense that means nothing, contributes nothing. There is so much telling and not showing. Honestly, there is no point in me even discussing the resolution or the third act of this episode, because it's the same as every other episode. The Doctor stands there telling everyone else how they're wrong, and everyone just comes to the realization that she's right. And then it ends the same way as every other Doctor Who episode. They say goodbye to the boring side characters and leave. Honestly, was this even a series finale? This was the most run-of-the-mill filler episode I have ever seen. What happened to the incredible finales like Doomsday, Journey's End, Parting of the Ways? When I list those titles, I get excited for how great and memorable they were. This is so boring and forgetful. It's embarrassing. And I see people defending this era, and I can't help but just want to slam my face into oncoming traffic because it's just so awful. The Doctor has become this self-righteous know-it-all, and not in the charming way or the narrative-driven way that it's been before, spouting constant, out-of-breath dialogue. And instead of being witty, smart, intuitive, or sneaky, the Doctor just spends every episode just lecturing everyone and then walks out of every predicament that she finds herself in. The companions are never at risk, and the only time they are at risk is when there's some shitty robots with really terrible aim. I feel absolutely nothing towards any of these characters, and Jodie's portrayal of the Doctor is not good at all, right? I see people all the time saying, I really like Jodie's Doctor, it's just the writing that let her down. I think it's 50-50, right? Put David Tennant or Matt Smith in Jodie's shoes with the exact same writing and the exact same dialogue. The show automatically becomes somewhat watchable. It's the actor's take on the Doctor that also elevates the writing. Jodie does nothing to bring anything to this role. She didn't even watch Doctor Who in preparation. We've all seen that hilarious meme of Chris Chibnall chatting absolute wass about classic Doctor Who.
It could have been slightly better written. Not only that, but it was also very cliched. It was very routine, running up and down corridors and silly monsters.
He has literally done all of the things he said he hated! You hilarious, silly, weird little man. I am so offended that an entire team of people worked on this series. They sat down at the end of the day and went, yep, this is going to be amazing. This is our best work yet. This show feels like the Sarah Jane Adventures if it was aimed at an even younger audience. The overuse of the sonic screwdriver in this series as well is an actual crime. Every time the Doctor is just waffling, she's over-dramatically just waving it around, trying to catch her breath. It's infuriating to watch. Of course, guys, this episode is going in god-awful, alright? Where else is it going to go? This is the worst series of Doctor Who, hands down, we've seen to date. And that is Series 11, done and dusted. I never want to look at this series ever again. What? There's still a whole other episode. Guys, remember when Christmas was a thing? I'd like to argue that while some Christmas episodes of Doctor Who are very forgetful, it is probably the most important episode of the year. It's the time of year where everyone is guaranteed to be sat down watching television with their fat bellies. But we don't want Christmas anymore. Christmas is done because the BBC were like, this show is shit. So we're not even putting it on Christmas Day. So we got a 2019 New Year's Day special, Resolution. This is where we get the start of the Chibnall location title cards.
Everything's closed, everyone is hungover, and there's nothing to do.
This is a point they love to keep bringing up in this episode, by the way. The Doctor and gang are in the TARDIS chatting about all of the fun stuff they've just got up to. All off screen, of course. Honestly, there's no chemistry between any of these lot. And all this, haha, we're so happy, life is so fun, is so forced. Anyway, Lady from Ghosts touches a Dalek squid before the fantastic, fabulous fam come.
I've got the TARDIS scanning the sewers for non-terrestrial life signals.
Sure, okay. How is she doing that? Ryan's dad then shows up. What a shock. Anyway, Dalek Blob possesses Ghost Girl. She then goes and kills 2 policemen while Ryan's dad tries to sell a microwave. Guys, honestly, I'm still seething from the last episode that my brain will just not allow me to get into this one. I will say Ryan's performance when confronting his dad is actually the best I've ever seen from him to date. Well done. But the scene just goes on and on and on and on. Anyway, so the TARDIS starts sparking and the Doctor just says...
What just happened? How did he do that? It's blown the systems.
Okay, so the Dalek Blob did this. Are we going to get an explanation as to how the Dalek did that or why it did it? No, just the Doctor just said it did it, so therefore that's what's happened. But even when she starts talking to the Dalek doesn't even know who the Doctor is.
I know you can hear me right now.
Who are you?
So how has it fried her navigations and fucked about with the TARDIS? It just makes no sense. The Dalek then starts doing this hilariously bad laughing. It's so bad that the Doctor actually has to tell everyone what it's doing.
I think he's laughing.
Daleks don't laugh. Their only emotion is anger. Where is this Dalek from?
He's shooting out the cameras to stop us tracking it.
Yes, Doctor, we can see. We've got eyes. Like, why are you just constantly narrating everything we are seeing? So they go to a warehouse where they find that the Dalek has rebuilt itself. God, it looks awful. But it's all right. The Doctor uses the sonic love toy to just disable its weapon systems. Of course.
I'm the Doctor. Ring any bells?
No. No, you are just not the Doctor. You are not the Doctor, okay?
I must remember, how long's a rel?
So the Dalek goes on a killing spree, right? Guys, just notice as well how perfect its aim is here. But if it was the main characters here, God, you'd think the Dalek was blind. What a surprise, guys. I'm about to get even more angry by this next sequence. The Dalek shuts down the UK's Wi-Fi, where Graham says this.
What, on New Year's Day when everything's shut and everyone's hungover?
What is that dialogue? It sounds like a bit that I would do in one of my videos. It's so odd. Who talks like this? Then, to top it off, we get this cringy moment where this family's internet goes down.
What do we do? We'll have to have a conversation. What?
This is such boomer writing, it's painful. Oh, and I told you, look, when it comes to the main characters, the Dalek can't aim for shit. Told you. The Doctor then just yibber yabbers techno babble when what she's really trying to say is, I stuck a microwave to you, you can't fuck mate. Cool, is the episode over? No, because the Dalek blob thing survives and the Doctor nearly gets Ryan's dad killed. But Ryan's confession of love to his dad saves the day. And another thing I'm going to moan about, right? Ryan's dad, this entire episode, has done absolutely nothing to redeem himself. He has been described as a deadbeat nobody who abandoned Ryan multiple times. Ryan saves him and then forgives him and then tells him he loves him. What? I am a fatherless man myself, right? And if I was in Ryan's position, I would have let my dad fly out that door. One conversation in a cafe would not sway me. Fuck me, this is a terrible episode. More of that telling and not showing. More of the 13th Doctor constantly talking. And yet another boring story with nothing new. I'm 23. I'm going to be dead by the time this video is released because I'm going to die of stress. You guys already know where this episode is going, don't you? Guys, I've already said it like 15 times this series already. It's going in god awful. And finally, that is the end of series 11. What's that? We've still got 2 whole series to watch. I'm so excited. Yay! Get me on board. Series 12. We start off with Spyfall Part 1, which of course starts with more title cards with really bad font. We see Ryan's friend unnaturally dumping all of the reasons as to why Ryan's not been around.
And the hernia before that?
Oh yeah, that was bad.
And that detached retina.
We then see Yaz's family, and there's this lovely out-of-touch boomer humour.
Plate rubber sole.
The nearest shoe shop is 1.2 miles walking distance.
Then these men in suits take the Doctor and fam. Oh no! All of a sudden, their car gets possessed, and we get this.
In 5 seconds, die. Die, die, die.
Wow, what a completely original idea. Definitely not taken from a previous era. Oh my god, Stephen Fry is in this episode. I wonder what they're going to do. Are they going to make him a really interesting character? A big name like Stephen Fry, you can't waste him, surely.
Don't be ridiculous, Franklin. I've read the files. The Doctor is a man.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've had an upgrade. Hi.
The definition of upgrade: raise something to a higher standard. In particular, improve by adding or replacing components. In order for you to be an upgrade, you have to be an improvement on what came previously. The 13th Doctor is definitely not that. And I feel like in the writer's sense, he's put that just because Doctor is woman now, which is not the case.
Right now, Vor is more powerful than most nations.
Is it? Is it really? How? Well, of course we don't need that explanation, because Stephen Fry gets absolutely game-ended. So the aliens are killing all these spies. So the Doctor's like, I'm going to introduce you to my Australian friend, who I've not ever mentioned once before this very episode. But we've been friends for years, guys, so just believe it, okay? Wow, this was just a lousy excuse to introduce this character, who is definitely not the Master. Anyway, they trap one of these aliens.
Your understanding.
I think he's laughing at you, Doc.
Yep, cheers, Graham. Thanks for pointing out the obvious. Didn't get that, thanks. Yaz ends up getting sent into the Upside Down, and Ryan fully just dips.
It's gone. I'm sorry, yes.
Anyway, she somehow gets out, and her and Ryan have a heart-to-heart.
I thought I was dead.
I'm never gonna let that happen to you.
I'm sorry, yes.
Storytelling at its finest, guys. The sequence in which the Doctor and Fam pull up to Daniel's mansion, well, I'll tell you what, I was actually a little bit excited. The Doctor looked like the Doctor, the soundtrack was pretty great, the cinematography was really good. It can't go wrong. Nope, it does. It instantly gets ruined.
The name's Doctor. The Doctor. We're on the list. Welcome.
Haha, this Doctor is so funny, pulling all those silly, funny faces. Anyway, Daniel then escapes, and there's this chase sequence. But luckily, no one in this universe knows how to aim their guns, so our main characters are never at any risk, of course. They get on a plane where it is revealed that this random friend is actually the Master? What?
Master.
You can't just force a twist like this with no hint or indication that he was the Master. It's just a cheap, lousy twist at that point. So the plane starts falling from the sky, and this is where the episode should have been left on a cliffhanger. But of course, that's not where it ends, because it takes them to the Upside Down. A change of scenery, some interesting cinematography. Lenny Henry was alright, I guess, but more of that awful dialogue, bad comedy, and a really poorly put together twist. And this line...
I've had an upgrade.
Put this episode way down. Guys, I'm putting this episode in not for me. Spyfall Part 2. The episode starts with the Doctor in the Upside Down, just talking incessantly to herself, of course. There's this truly cringy scene with the Doctor just telling the gang how to survive a plane crash. Even the characters are like,
You are kidding! How'd she do it there?
yep, that's not answered. It's just swept under the rug, as if we're supposed to be like, oh, classic Doctor, just somehow pulling things off, I guess. We're a whole series into this era, and the Doctor is still forgetting that she is a woman now, after bragging about that specific thing in the previous episode. The Doctor ends up in the 19th century, when the Master shows up.
Do not move! Hands on hands!
Christ. It's like he's just acting mental, and then just thinks, yep, that's the Master.
Neil.
Sorry?
Call me by my name.
What?
Master.
What's going on?
Master.
Chibnall, are you okay? Get this right, guys. A woman shoots at the Master, and the Doctor says,
Ada, I really do not approve.
The Doctor then follows on from that by allowing Ada to throw a grenade at the Master. I actually can't, man. Nothing has changed in the new series.
You're Ada Lovelace, daughter of Lord Byron and Annabella Milbank, one of the great minds.
Guys, seriously, are you seeing a pattern here, man? The writing is so lazy, and it insists on telling us about historical figures via this awful dialogue. The Doctor stands and talks for a solid 5 minutes, and the writers thought, Jodie didn't explain this well enough. Let's add 30 seconds more of this terrible ADR.
If I use my sonic on the Silver Lady, I might be able to force this creature to throw me back to the 21st century.
Doctor lands in Paris during World War II, where the Master is one of them naughty German boys. Oh, and Lenny Henry has game-ended his mum because he didn't feel loved or something. Chibnall then rips off this scene from Inglourious Bastards. Then the Doctor and Master have like this FaceTime call using their minds. Oh, for God's sake. The Doctor sends a message to the naughty Germans that the Master is a double agent, sending info to the Brits. Well, that's the Master defeated. We can end the episode. Happy days. Oh, what's that? She also disabled his perception filter so that the naughty German people can see that he's not white. What? What's even more baffling? The writing just makes it like it's a, well, hey, Doctor, you showed the Master moment. No, this is probably one of the most vile and evil things she could have done. This isn't just like this group is slightly bad. No, these are the naughty Germans we're talking about. He is about to endure the most brutal and violent torture and execution that was inflicted on millions of Jews, which goes against everything the Doctor stands for. No matter how evil the Master is, the Doctor would never, ever do something like this. This is actually shocking. But it's okay, guys, because the Master does survive, apparently, somehow. I genuinely do not want to talk about this episode any further. It's going in not for me, and that's solely because it's not as boring as the other episodes coming up. And just to mention, by the way, guys, Gallifrey has been destroyed again, all off camera, by the way. Just a nice little screw you to the 8-year story arc that Russell and Steven had worked on. Yeah, it's all just been destroyed again, all off camera. Haha. Orphan 55. Here we go, guys. Here we go. Graham wins a holiday from a coffee machine, where they all get teleported to the blandest looking resort, where they meet John Candy from Spaceballs. How is anyone supposed to take this show seriously at this point? All of this free food, and Ryan decides to get a pack of pom bears. These packet of crisps then give Ryan a virus. Luckily, guys, the Doctor knows exactly what to do, just like always. And in typical BBC fashion, Doctor Who flexes its budget with this. It's a guy shooting into darkness for it to cut to a really poorly composed shot of the dregs. Yes, that's the name of the monster for this episode. But hey, guys, at least we get Jay from the In-Betweeners. But to no shock, he is absolutely wasted in this.
Benny. It's Benny.
Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny. Benny.
This is the worst character in the history of this show. I have never hoped for a side character to be game-ended as much as this. It's truly bad. Like, inexcusably bad. Like, worst of the worst bad. How did this woman get cast? The Doctor stands around asking a load of questions, and of course, nobody responds.
But how did they survive? And why is she gun fitted with an Exipex modulator?
But it's okay, she just answers all of her own questions anyway.
Adapt to guns and to nuclear winter.
Another interesting point, for a planet that is so toxic and uninhabitable, there sure are a lot of trees going around.
If anyone can, will they please shoot me?
That delivery is great. This is exactly what my mind was saying whilst I was watching this episode. Anyway, so woman admits to killing Benny and then gets held at gunpoint by her daughter. Wowee, what a twist. But of course it's interrupted by more off-screen dregs. Way, old lady finally sacrifices herself. Thank the Lord above. Get out. The Doctor then gets oxygen from the dreg's breath. Honestly, what am I watching? And guys, in the third and most shocking twist of them all, it turns out they were actually on Earth this entire time, and this is the result of global warming. Wow. Incredibly long story short, they blow everything up because they couldn't think of a way to end this episode. Jesus. Then they just end up back on the TARDIS, and that's where the worst part comes in. The Doctor gives this insanely preachy speech about global warming.
People face facts and change. Catastrophe is coming.
She may as well have just looked directly into the lens just to tell us all off.
It depends on billions of decisions and actions. And people stepping up.
So not only in this era have we had the Doctor tell everyone all the time how they're wrong, it now includes us. This is as preachy as it gets. This is appalling. Isn't it great that a show that's supposed to be fun time and space travel just ended with me getting told off? Thanks, Doctor Who. I really appreciate that. Not only is this universally listed as the worst Doctor Who episode of all time, it is hands down the worst piece of television my eyeballs have ever had the displeasure of seeing. It doesn't even deserve god awful. It needs to be set on fire, sent to space, eviscerated by aliens, removed from the archives, and taken down from all streaming services. This is the worst Doctor Who episode I have ever seen. Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Guys, it's time for a historical episode with Nikola Tesla, and we all know who he is, right?
First black woman to ever drive a bus.
Thanks, Ryan. The Doctor meets Nikola Tesla, where they get chased by the Trickster. Luckily, her sonic screwdriver made a piece of metal fall from the sky. Honestly, I don't know at this point. The Doctor and Nikola do actually have this little bonding session, which wasn't too bad, when Nikola receives a letter from Mr. Morgan.
Excellent.
I got some jelly beans. You like jelly beans?
The first 20 minutes of this episode is actually pretty decent. Genuine intrigue and mystery. The actor that plays Nikola Tesla was actually the best part of the episode, and some nice moments sprinkled in, but in typical Chibs fashion. The second the aliens come in, that's when it all falls apart. What in the Rachnos is this? If you're gonna rip off the Rachnos, like, at least improve it. This looks awful.
We have been watching, hidden from human eyes.
Christ, this is bad. This is bad. So the story is they kidnap Tesla to fix their ship, but he puts up a fight. I was like, okay, this is getting interesting. Oh, never mind. The Doctor is going to use random MacGuffin to save the day. Oh. What I've noticed with the Chibnall era, like in his episodes, they spend so much time standing around talking that the endings are always so rushed. They have like a little altercation with the scorpion things that just roll around a lot. Luckily though, this bread stand stops them. Whoa, that showed them. Such a promising start with Nikola Tesla being the best part, but God, it just gets ruined. The soundtrack. The cringy and awfully designed villains. The Doctor's constant sarcastic quips that seem to be conjured up by a child. I just so quickly lost interest. Guys, this episode is of course going in not for me. Damn. Fugitive of the Jadoon. The episode starts with this Tobey Maguire style montage.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy.
It then cuts to the fam, where the audience get told the Doctor's all moody and keeps disappearing, even though we've had no inclination that this has been happening. But thank God we have our main characters just telling us everything. We then get Jadoons landing on Earth looking for a fugitive. Of the Jadoon. Thanks, guys. Of course, though, it doesn't take long for the Doctor to show up. Guys, I remember watching this episode for this moment.
You missed me, right?
Oh my God. Captain Cheesecake! And he's back for the most pointless cameo. Oh. It turns out that Tobey Maguire is actually the fugitive of the Jadoon all along. This was actually quite a good twist, to be fair. And then she goes all John Pertwee on them. Whilst it's highly unbelievable a middle-aged woman fought off 5 huge space police rhinos with guns, the twist to show that she was the fugitive was actually a shock and was very well earned. Setting up Lee as the suspicious one, only for it to turn out that actually he was just the companion. That's a good bit of television. Not a lot actually happens for the rest of the episode. It's then revealed that the fugitive had used the chameleon arc technique. It turns out that Ruth is the Doctor. What? However, it does take me back to when I first watched it, thinking, okay, this is an alternate universe Doctor. Ooh. Then it is discussed that she is actually the Doctor from the past, and then I realised, oh, they're going to change the Doctor's past, aren't they? Oh, and how right I was.
But if Gat is half the operative she used to be, who's Gat?
What in the skibbity-riz dialogue is this? Whilst I hate the whole concept of the reveal of the twist and what is to come, I can't deny this episode was stacked with
twists and turns, more supervillains than you can shake a web at, and of course, non-stop web-slinging, wall-crawling action.
And an actually decent story? What? I wasn't bored. We had Captain Chunk Harkness, and the soundtrack didn't make me want to scratch my face off. It's the one time where I actually watched Jodie's Doctor where she wasn't a know-it-all. We, as the audience, were lost along with the Doctor. Damn, this is what this has been missing. Guys, we did it. We got a good episode. Hip, hip, hooray. Finally. Oh, guys, I'm putting this episode in good. Praxius. When the episode started off with a shot of a load of rubbish everywhere, I thought, oh no, we're going to get told off again, aren't we? So from my understanding, these birds are falling from the sky, and then these people are turning into like nether quartz and dying. Okay. And of course, guys, there's more of that terrible, terrible aiming. What a shock. This egotistical side character in the episode is truly just awful, and her line delivery is honestly worse than anything that was said in Demons of the Punjab.
2 girls rooming.
I haven't seen it.
What's the matter with you people?
In fact, all of the acting in this episode is absolutely appalling. This episode is essentially about plastic pollution and a virus transmitted by birds. This was released in, yikes, 2nd of February 2020, exactly a month before the Rona. Wow, Chibs can predict future? Guys, this is just so bad. This is essentially an hour of memory wiping. The second this episode is finished, you forget who you are, you forget where you are, and honestly, you kind of just factory reset. Boring. Guys, this episode is going in god awful.
Can you hear me?
Funnily enough, I've never actually seen this episode before. Doctor's TARDIS dies and Big Baldy Man appears. So the Doctor goes travelling on her own for the day, and I'm confused. She keeps talking like she's so used to having the fam around, even though 2 episodes ago we were told that she has the tendency to just disappear for ages. So this makes no sense. Big Baldy Man is watching Yaz sleep, then he decides he wants to watch Ryan's mate instead. Then this really jarring sequence occurs. The Doctor then picks everyone up to find out what's going on.
There's something there between those planets.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Didn't quite catch that. Cheers, mate. Anyway, the gang find Baldy and then they all get fingered. Turns out, Baldy was trapping the Doctor to release this god. As blandly as I'm explaining it, and despite this story being very exposition and dialogue heavy, it is actually quite an interesting story. I've been very invested so far. The Doctor and gang are trapped. How are they going to get out of this one? What the living fuck? That has to be the most diabolical thing I have ever seen in Doctor Who history. How has no one ever pointed this out before? It's already hilarious how much the Doctor relies on her sonic screwdriver in this era, but explain to me how that works, please. Someone explain. That is actually insane. How they just played this off like it's normal. That is shocking. The Doctor then gives this condescending speech about how great we are as humans.
They're not pathetic. They're magnificent. They face them down every day and they prevail.
Thanks for that, Doc. I'll just pretend like you haven't been telling me off for the last few weeks. Cheers, lad. And of course, it's no surprise. She uses her magic floaty screwdriver to save the day. Just when I thought this episode might actually be decent, the horrifically rushed ending with a weak resolution. Oh, it hurts. Just to top this whole thing off, Graham opens up to the Doctor about being frightened that his cancer is going to come back, and the Doctor just completely ignores it because, I'm socially awkward. Isn't this funny?
So I'm just going to subtly walk towards the console and look at something.
Honestly, socially awkward or not, the Doctor knows how to comfort people. She has literally spent thousands of years living with and saving humans. How this Doctor is one of the most unlikable people in the entire show is baffling. How do you even achieve that? You can definitely tell which parts of this episode were written by Chibnall. I was going to put this episode in okay because I was actually intrigued and invested through the majority, but that god-awful resolution and that bang out of order behaviour from the Doctor again brought this episode way down. Guys, I'm disappointed. This episode will have to go in not for me. The Haunting of Mojo Dojo Casa House. This episode starts off looking exactly the same as the intro to Hyde from Series 7. Anyway, spooky things are happening in the house.
What's up?
That did actually make me laugh. That was actually quite funny. There is a solid 30 minutes of just boring spooky things happening until a Cyberman arrives. A Cyberman. How exciting. Long story short, from what I gathered, Man picks up Cyberium and now Cyberman Man wants it. And against Captain Jack's warning, the Doctor gives him what he wants, foreshadowing an upcoming cyber invasion. I can't lie, guys, this episode bored the living hell out of me. I was falling asleep. Just not for me, guys. It's just not for me, because the writing was not bad, I guess. It's just an episode I could just not get on board with. Ascension of the Cybermen. The Doctor and gang come across the last 7 humans? Sure. Anyways, they ask the group of people if they have an escape craft, and this is the Doctor's response.
I've been trying to fix it, but we've got no spare parts. I've botched built a couple...
Do I need your life story?
Please, can someone tell me a likeable characteristic that this Doctor has? Because I am still searching for it. This is such a normal response to someone who's just witnessed the wipeout of the human race and is currently running and hiding from the Cyberman. Wow, what a lovely and empathetic Doctor we have. It then gets interrupted by these Cybermen heads. Oh, you can just tell we're in for another awful experience. Cool, more terrible aiming. Honestly, I'm getting so bored of repeating myself at this point. I'm pointing out the exact same issues in every single episode. It's honestly a mystery as to how this show was on the verge of being cancelled. And to continue on with the repetitive issues, the Doctor, who is so against the use of guns and weapons of course, then throws a grenade at the Cyberman. Guys, are you getting sick of hearing me repeat myself?
Basically, I used to do this a lot and people got mad, but now it's going to save all our lives.
Isn't it so funny how she snapped at someone for sharing their life story and then proceeds to do exactly that? One massive hypocrite, this Doctor.
Born in wartime.
So this is all you ever known?
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Such natural expository dialogue there. Wow, this is peak writing.
Now that's what I call an inner conflict.
Please, someone...
Will they please shoot me?
Please. There is a whole lot of teasing that I just do not care about in this episode before the Master shows up again. Yay! Like, this episode is so boring and I'm getting so irritated with hearing myself say that. It's literally just because these characters are never at risk. I just do not feel anything whenever something is going on. No matter how much action they throw at us, I just don't care for these characters. More irritating Doctor, attempted teasing, really terrible side characters, and so much exposition. God awful, guys. It's going in god awful. And alas, we have made it to the season finale, The Timeless Children. Oh, here we go. The Master takes the Doctor to a destroyed Gallifrey. You know, the Gallifrey he destroyed all off screen. Cheers, Chibs. So as we've all come to know and love the Chibnall era, we know that it's very exposition heavy. Well, strap in, guys, and grab some Febreze. It's about to get real stinky with the amount of dumping that's about to occur. Basically, the Master wants to offer Gallifrey to the Cyber Boys. Graham then has a heart-to-heart with Yaz, where he quite literally says that she's the best woman he's ever met.
She was the best person you'd ever met. You know what, Yaz? I think you are.
What? Is this supposed to be like character development? He literally just lists a loads of characteristics that he loves about her that we've literally never even seen. Now the Master is going to sit us all down and tell us a good old story. So Tecteun was the first Gallifreyan called a Shobogan or something, and then found a child. That child then jumped off a cliff after it realised it was in a Chibnall episode. Only for the child to then regenerate? What? This has never been seen before. So Tecteun decided to do shitloads of tests on her so that she herself could regenerate, and thus the Shobogans evolved into Time Lords.
The child is you. You are the timeless child.
What? This is so shocking! So you mean to tell me the entire lore of the Doctor has changed? Maybe I could get on board with this. I don't know if it's expanded upon or explored and doesn't leave gaping plot holes in previous stories now.
I thought if he was compressed, all this would be over. I would have been okay with that. All still alive.
They are literally just having the Master waffle a load of bollocks now, just to run down the episode time, as if he hasn't done enough talking already. How can a twist like this leave you with 15,000 more questions than it gives answers? Anyways, exposition interrupted by the introduction to the Cybermasters. Okay. Cool. So the fugitive Doctor then shows up and basically just says, hey, you know what? This basically means nothing. You don't remember it, so fuck it. Who cares? What is the point of this arc if we're just going to have like a, oh, just forget it, lol. The Doctor then blows up the Matrix or whatever with her brain. I cannot even be bothered to talk about the stuff that happens outside of the Timeless Child stuff because it's literally 20 minutes of Cybermen with terrible aim. Literally, it's in every fucking episode at this point. There's supposed to be this touching moment where the Doctor is about to sacrifice herself. I cannot focus on what's going on, especially now that the Doctor is completely immortal and basically a god. There is no stakes anymore. If she sacrifices herself, she's just going to regenerate again. So the Doctor is about to sacrifice herself, but she can't do it. Thank God this old, unimportant man offers to do it, and she's like, no, you can. And then proceeds to just run off and let him kill himself. This Doctor just sucks. The episode then ends with the Jadoon putting the Doctor in a maximum security prison. Okay. Wowee. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. If this episode or arc never happened, the majority of people that despise this show now would still probably be watching. And it's so understandable as to why so many people hated this. I really do not understand what was going through the Chibster's brain when he was writing this. The show was on a downward spiral. Here's an idea. Let's completely change the history of the Doctor just to make people feel even more alienated towards this show, leaving everyone everyone watching this episode confused, irritated, and questioning what we've been watching for the last 57 years. There better be some serious exploration and expanding on this arc for this to even be worth it, otherwise it's just insulting. This episode could have done this reveal in a much more creative way, maybe showing us the Master discovering this information, instead of just sitting the Doctor down and waffling for 40 minutes. But no, that would cost too much money and would involve some creativity, which this era seriously lacks. When nothing is happening, it's just talking at the audience. When something is happening, it's just insert alien/villain attempting to shoot something, but their aim is so atrocious that you just feel no threat whatsoever. Yet another tripe finale from the Chibbers. This episode is going in god awful. We've made it to New Year's Day 2021. Wow, after last year's horrific Dalek story, I sure hope that... Oh, it's another Dalek story. Okay. It's New Year's Day. The Doctor is imprisoned for eternity. We get to see what life is like in space prison. I cannot wait for them to expand on this. This could be truly fascinating. Hooray! We get Donald Trump back. And B-Tech evil Harriet Jones is here too. We then cut back to the Doctor living her life in prison. And we get a glimpse into the BBC costume cupboard. Whoa! It's Captain Josh Hunkness. And he breaks the Doctor out of prison with a convenient time-freezing ball. Wow. People waited 9 months to see how this would play out. And that was the resolution. Well, the most intriguing aspect of this episode has been crushed. It's now back to just boring Dalek story. There is this really touching moment between Yaz and Captain Jack Sparrow.
We're the lucky one, Chaz. Enjoy the journey, because the joy is worth the pain.
Then it's just immediately ruined with...
Are you feeling insecure? Because you seem to need a lot of praise.
Guys, I'm going to save you the time here. Of course, Daleks turn bad. Then these Death Squad Daleks turn up to kill all the phonies. So the Doctor decides she's going to trap them all by sucking them all off and crushing them. I will say, this shot is pretty spectacular. It looks amazing. Fair play. It's definitely one of the most creative resolutions we've had in the Chibnall era, so that's good, I guess. But guys, Ryan and Graham decide they are going to depart. For every companion in New Who, I have felt sad at their departure and attached to them in some way. But these two, I feel pretty much nothing. Ryan was the only one with some character development, but that is nowhere near enough to make me care. So Ryan and Graham have left Doctor Who. Goodbye. Despite this creative resolution, it was yet another Chibnall filler episode on what is supposed to be a special. No more Daleks, please. I'm so sick to death of them. Captain Jack is the only interesting thing about this episode, and even in this episode, his dialogue just seemed off. It ends full circle with Ryan learning to ride a bike on the edge of a cliff again. Guys, this episode is going in not for me. Thus, bringing an end to what is the most boring, unimaginative, and expositional series of Doctor Who. I said Series 11 was the worst. I take it back. Series 12 is bad. One good episode. One. This show is in dire straits, and it's on the verge of being cancelled, and a worldwide virus is about to hit us big time. So Rona has struck, there's all sorts of production issues, and Doctor Who is on the verge of being cancelled. Wowie, what a fun time this was for Doctor Who fans. Christopher Chubba Chub and Jodie Whitewoman have both announced their intentions to leave the show. But how could this be after episodes such as Rosa, Demons of the Punjab and Spyfall have thrilled audiences across the globe, garnering critical acclaim and award recognition? They cannot be serious. So after a difficult production, Doctor Who FLUX has been announced. A shorter serialised series was to begin airing on Halloween 2021, marking the beginning of the final season for Jodie and Chibs. Maybe, just maybe, we can squeeze a bit of quality out of the Chiblins before his time as showrunner comes to an end. Chapter 1. The Halloween Apocalypse. The episode starts with one of the worst looking sequences in Doctor Who history. I'll let it slide because of production and Rona, I guess. Well guys, the stakes are high because they're on a time limit to escape. They spend that time just spouting loads of exposition. Cool guys, we're 30 seconds in and I'm irritated. I'm irritated already. Honestly, what have I just watched? We get introduced to Dan with the worst attempt of a smooth transition I've ever seen. But hey guys, at least we replaced Graham with a scouse Graham. It then cuts to these two checking in on this prisoner when this soldier says to the other soldier,
Do not engage with the prisoner in conversation. Do not do anything that it asks, no matter what it asks.
Where she then proceeds to do exactly that.
You're as confined as you always have been.
Genius writing. And then the other girl just gets Thanos'd. Wow.
Trick or treat, Doctor.
Oh no. Guys, do you think Dan lives in Liverpool by any chance? I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm getting the sense that he might live in Liverpool. Anyway, this B-Tech Chewbacca breaks into Dan's house. Guys, I don't know. Is it like Chewbacca? I don't know. I've never watched Star Trek. All I know is that it's like a movie series about space incest or something.
Why does Dan have such a flashy computer?
Jodie, it's a Chromebook. It's hardly packing a 4090, is it?
Cross-referencing with spatial temporal locations. I'll restrict to this solar system and time zone for exact trajectory.
Okay, so Yaz can just fly the TARDIS now then. I think this is supposed to indicate that, Yaz and the Doctor have spent so much time together. That must mean all character development has happened off screen again. We meet this woman who's being followed by Weeping Angel, and then we meet Vinda. Consider me very intrigued so far, right? But I do feel this story is already quickly getting very bloated.
It looks like this holding pen has 9 different booby traps.
Cool, so we've had no character development for Yaz, and now she's just turned into Clara and knows absolutely everything. But now we've got the FLUX wiping out the universe. Now there's Sontarans as well. Okay, my brain's starting to hurt a little bit. The FLUX is chasing the TARDIS, and the TARDIS goes absolutely skits, where we're left on actually a pretty decent cliffhanger. The comedic dynamic between Chewie and Dan was quite good. I can't say this episode was boring because there was so much happening, and I can't really say that the story was bad because there's lots of questions still to be answered. And despite its dodgy start, and please don't get me wrong, this episode is still insanely exposition heavy as always, this episode actually picks up throughout, and I enjoyed it. Guys, it's happened again. This episode is going in good. Crazy. Which moves us on to Chapter 2, War of the Sontarans. Doctor and New Fam have landed on battlefield in the Crimean War. They then go to Mary's hotel and get Thanos. Guys, honestly, I actually just cannot be arsed. What is this? Wait, what? What happened to the other 7 Sontarans? And how did these two end up here? There's this trapezium thing that keeps yapping. I'm lost. I'm now lost. I stopped paying attention for about a minute and 15 scenes have occurred.
I can access the Sontaran databanks. Plus, everything that's on your phone.
What? How? This writing is so lazy.
I don't understand any of this.
Yep, me too, Mary. Me too. I am lost. I just don't get it. The first episode was so interesting. This episode, I just realised Chibnall's dug himself a hole now. It's so clear that this was supposed to be an independent story, but they've just had to stitch it in with the FLUX story because of the Rona. It's now really bloated. It ends with Man blowing up ship, where Doctor gets all angry about it, of course, because weapons bad. We'll just ignore the fact that she just tried to suffocate them 10 minutes earlier. This episode tries to end on a dramatic cliffhanger, and then I just remember that it's a Chibnall story, so it will just be resolved in the first 30 seconds of the next episode, and that the main characters are literally never at any risk. Shock horror! It's a boring story, riddled with conveniences, and the Doctor back to being her annoying self. I don't like this episode. It's going in not for me. Once Upon Time. This episode is Chibnall's attempt of being all timey-wimey. There's a planet called Time, and then there's the Mori. These are the people that control time. And then they get game-ended, sort of. So the Doctor then gets sent into like a time storm to try and fix it. I think. Guys, I'm guessing that's what this is about. Although I will say the Doctor dangling like this whilst acting all serious is just so funny to me. There's this hilarious sequence where Yaz is playing those pesky video games on her little computer system. And the angels appear. Oh no! The Doctor then says, "Hey Yaz, don't look away." Come on, seriously, does the director or the production team just not look at what they're filming? During these dream sequences, the Doctor keeps interrupting them to do so much exposition dumping. It's like she likes the sound of her own voice. And what a surprise, there is even more terrible aiming, just like in every single episode of this era. Oh great, now there's another character called Belle that I apparently have to care about. This episode does so much quote-unquote teasing that it makes it impossible for me to care about any any of these characters, especially these added ones. All the writing in this series seems to do is go, oh, you have questions? Oh, well, we might answer them later, so please care and keep watching, please. It's all good revealing answers 3 weeks into the future in the season finale, but by the time it gets to watching it, I've lost interest, and more importantly, I've forgotten. This is basically a really convoluted backstory to the FLUX, I guess. I swear, this is the only era of Doctor Who to have so much going on without actually showing anything, and relying on excessive exposition dumps that are still confusing.
You don't understand anything. Does everything have to be a discussion?
Yep, that's the 13th Doctor in a nutshell right there, guys. Yeah, I'm right, you're wrong, you shush. The angels then come out of Yaz's phone somehow and then fly the TARDIS. Okay, that's this week's cliffhanger, I suppose. Ugh, guys, I'm so irritated. Chris Chibnall clearly has some good ideas, right? And these could be so good if the way these stories were told were more simple. It feels like Chris Chibnall just sits in his room and he's there like, and then there was Sontaran, and then there was Weeping Angels, and then there were on a planet called Time, and then there was Vinda, and then there was Claire, and then there was Dan. Now we're gonna go back to the Weeping Angels. It's so draining. There is way too much going on and it's all being told out of order. Honestly, if you want me to tell you about all that happened in this episode, I can't really, right? Because Chibnall has thrown a lot of eggs in this basket. This episode, guys, is going in not for me. Chapter 4, Village of the Angels. This episode is about a village in the 60s getting taken over by some angels, with some FLUX tripe just added on at the end. We start by seeing Claire having some sort of orgasm before being possessed. One thing I don't quite understand is every time they show angels in this series, they add this plate smash sound effect. What is that? The Doctor and fam get transported to old people times, where they meet old couple who have lost little girl. But forget this for a minute, guys, because the story needs to be interrupted with more Bell stuff. Wow. I just do not care. It's so blatant that this is just stitched on because the writers were like, oh shit, yeah, oh crap, yeah, the FLUX, yeah, that's a thing going on, yeah. I feel like this whole Bell finding Vinda story was meant to be in like its own episode. I'm guessing because of the Rona, they just had to sort of stitch it in across the series. Jericho's house gets surrounded by angels.
And don't blink.
What are you talking about?
How did this angel move? The Doctor was looking right at it, and there is no way her and Jericho blinked at exactly the same time. Dan and Yaz get sent back by an angel, where this little girl shows them the edge of this village.
It used to be further down the road.
How are they so surprised? Could they not see the huge galaxy right in front of them when they were standing here? But this is not the only time it happens. The same thing happens again with these two old people. The Doctor then somehow connects a 1960s television to a phone for CCTV. This makes no sense, right? Why would the Doctor do this to monitor the angels? If an image of an angel becomes an angel, wouldn't that mean she's giving them a direct teleport into the room? There's this hilarious death scenes where two oldies get game ended because they don't believe the statues are dangerous, despite literally 5 minutes ago they saw an angel move and literally got zapped by one of them. I don't understand the writing here, guys. And since when did angels game end people by turning them into stone like this? The cliffhanger to this episode is that the angels want to take the Doctor to the division, so they turn her into a weeping angel. Wow. Guys, I like the atmosphere to this episode, I guess. And it wasn't exactly boring, but I just feel like they've added so much lore to the angels and their abilities. I feel more confused when I see them than I do creeped out. In Blink, the angels were simple. They can only move when they're not being seen. They make you live to death, and they can drain power sources if needed so that they can move. It's unsettling, it's creepy, it's vague and mysterious. Now they can be drawings, video footage, pictures. They can enter your eyes or something and turn you into an angel. They snap necks, turn people into stone, work for the division, and can talk. It just ruins it for me. This is why I wasn't a huge fan of Flesh and Stone either. I'm putting this episode in okay, right? Because it's definitely the best we've had since the first episode. Chapter 5, Survivors of the FLUX. So, the Doctor is a weeping angel now. God, this could be an amazing premise, right? How will she get out of there? Oh, it was clickbait. It was essentially a transport method. Wow, this was a huge waste of time. But hey, at least the transition looked cool, right? Right, I'm going to try and break this down into 3 points to make this easier for myself and for you. Doctor is sent to Mystery Woman. We'll get to that. Yaz, Dan and Jericho are trying to follow this prophecy about the end of the world. And we're following Serpent Man through the history of UNIT for some reason. There is also more boring Vinder and Beltrap going on, but there is literally no point of these characters or this subplot. It amazes me that Chibnall feels the need to constantly put in all of these locations with these terrible title cards to make it feel like more is happening. Then there's this sequence where Yaz is looking at the Doctor because she misses her so much.
I'm sure I miss you. Miss you too.
And this to me is the start of the blatant queer baiting between these two. It's clear Chris Chibnall was looking on Twitter one night and thought, oh, there's like 9 people shipping these two, but I'm too afraid to commit, so I'll just be really suggestive instead. There's literally no romantic chemistry or flirtation or any indication of romance up until the FLUX, because there has been so little character development, and there's been so little time to focus on just their relationship, making any indication of their romance all the more unbelievable. So guys, it turns out the FLUX was created because Jodie's Doctor really scares them. Then it's revealed that the woman who runs Division is Tecteun.
I'm Tecteun, the woman you used to call Mother.
What? It's seen as like this huge, shocking betrayal, but the problem is, we don't know this character. Our only knowledge of Tecteun is via the exposition dump that the Master gave us in The Timeless Child. Was this woman ever nice? Well, we don't know, because all we know is that she did experiments on the Doctor. From our understanding, yeah, she's not a nice person. And just in case you forgot everything that happened in The Timeless Child, Tecteun just explains it all again for us. Wow.
Oh, I wouldn't go down there, miss. It's dangerous. And also, some folks say he still walks the tunnels.
Hang on, isn't that Paul McCartney from The Devil's Chord?
Gallifreyan device for the protecting and storage of memories and identities. Of course you kept them.
Yes, Doctor, why are you explaining the very device that the woman used on you? Such natural exposition here. It's not as if this line of dialogue was here for new viewers, because new viewers would have no clue what is going on, mainly because of the amount of subplots going on. And this device has already been used to initiate this whole story arc in the first place. The episode ends on a cliffhanger where Nether Quartz Man Game Ends Tecteun takes over the Division and the Sontarans are preparing for war with Earth. Riveting stuff, guys. I had to pay real close attention to ensure that I didn't lose track of what was going on. And of course, it was more extreme exposition dumping and yet more of that, hold on guys, we're definitely going to answer your questions, just not right now, maybe next episode. And in the meantime, guys, here's more things for you to question. You're welcome. Whilst I definitely think the FLUX has been a huge improvement in comparison to series 11 and 12, it just feels like an absolute chore to watch it. I'm wearing myself out trying to remember the 18 subplots going on. This episode, guys, is going in not for me. Chapter 6, The Vanquishers. Well, here we are. The series finale. And of course, the cliffhanger just gets put straight to bed because the Doctor just runs away. So, we've got 143 story beats to wrap up, and we start the episode with terrible Chibs aiming, of course. And of course, this story can't be simple. The Doctor is split into 3 or something, just so we can hear more of her talking lots more. Yay! I will say, this sequence in the corner shop, albeit hilarious, is definitely the strangest thing I've seen in the history of this show. Nether Quartz Woman explains her plan to watch the FLUX on loop.
And watch it again and again and again.
But if I had to endure that same pain, I would game end myself almost immediately. Oh, and then in some throwaway dialogue, every Lupari has just been game ended. All happened off screen, because God forbid this show actually shows anything. I will say though, there is something about this sequence where the Doctor being interrogated was actually really good.
Any human would be sweating. Or any Sontaran. I'm thinking binary demi-species, but they're really rare.
It was a title bestowed on me.
Yeah, I bet you've been making lanyards with that on for years.
I genuinely thought this was Jodie at her best. I can't quite figure out why. But of course, it immediately gets ruined when the Doctor meets herself.
Wow, you're cute. Yes, so are you.
Yeah, the 3 split Doctor thing, that's where things started to go downhill. Like, it's so clear Chibnall thought, yeah, there's a lot of side things going on. Would be good if the Doctor could be in all 3 locations to solve this. Oh, I have a brilliant idea. I will write a convenient way for there to be 3 doctors at once. I am big boy brain. Sideburns man just leaves. Vinder and Bell find each other, then leave. Jericho gets game ended, although I will say it is a shame. I actually thought he was one of the best characters in this series. He actually would have made quite a good companion. The passenger then sucks up the flux, and then the Nether Quartz people, and then the Doctor gets warned of her inevitable end.
Your time is heading to its end.
And the big final defeat of the episode, they make the Grand Serpent walk through a door, and he just goes, yeah, okay. And we have no time to get his reaction because there's this horrendous swipe transition. Wow. And get this. This whole series has been leading to finding out more about this Doctor's backstory. And what does she do? She tells the TARDIS to lose all her memories so that she can never find it. Meaning this whole arc was for nothing. Wow. What an ending. Chibnall really fumbled the bag with this one. This series could have easily done with, I'd say, I don't know, about 60% less of the subplots. And Chibnall clearly wrote himself into a corner and didn't know what else to do with this timeless child arc. So he's chosen to bin it for a future showrunner to deal with. I will say, guys, this is definitely the best Chibnall finale we've ever had. However, the bar is seriously low. This whole series had serious potential, but Chris Chibnall's incompetent writing resulted in this hot mess. The overall easy write-outs and abrupt endings, and a conclusion that ultimately resulted in no questions being answered and more questions being asked. This episode, guys, is going in not for me. It was a poor wrap-up with the typical Chib tropes that left me unsatisfied and still asking a lot of questions that I guess I'll never know the answers to. I'm so tired. I'm so tired, guys. There's 3 episodes to go. Just 3. And one of the 3 is the 2022 New Year's special. Please don't be Dalek themed. Please don't be Dalek themed. Please don't be Dalek. Oh, fuck. So Doctor and Newfam end up in a warehouse because the TARDIS is resetting for some reason. Oh my god, a Dalek. I was not expecting this.
I'm using my sonic to jam its weapon systems. Not like this.
Thank God, series over. Good night, good night. I wish. Yeah, so basically they all keep getting killed over and over until they figure out how to stop the Daleks. They're literally in a time loop, guys. They're not going to die. I don't feel the tension here. I know a lot of people, for some reason, really like this episode, but when you pick up on constant minor Chibnall issues, it starts becoming really irritating and blocks any ability to enjoy an episode even slightly. Okay, that was funny. That was funny. More terrible aiming, more terrible aiming. Obviously, I get that they are being game-ended, so obviously some bad aiming is fine. It's just the way that they miss the target. Like, if the character is zigzagging about or using some sort of shield, then it's excused somewhat. It's the fact that the characters are always running in a straight line or standing completely still. This woman is not very nice. This man is definitely a serial killer. This woman is annoying. This woman loves annoying women, and Dan's actually alright. I like Dan. Oh, and just to top it off, guys, there's some more queer baiting, of course.
Have you ever told her
Told her what?
how you feel about her?
Look, guys, these two are in love, apparently, but you ain't gonna see anything because there's only 2 episodes left. We literally have to have Dan explain that she's in love with the Doctor because we, the audience, have literally not had any inclination prior to the end of Flux. Anyways, guys, they save the day. It's the conclusion of the Dalek New Year's trilogy. Man, they just suck, don't they? Whilst the second one had the best conclusion, this episode, I suppose, is the best of the 3. I like the Dalek miniguns. There's like 1 or 2 funny moments. The premise is somewhat interesting. Listen, right, I'll be generous. It's New Year's Day, okay? I'm going to put this episode in okay, right? Which I think is way too generous, but you know what? I will literally never watch this episode again. Legend of the Sea Devils. Now, this one I've been dreading. I remember watching this for the first time and actually dancing when it ended, because I realised there is 1 episode left of this truly awful era. The intro, for instance, the acting is horrendous.
Stay here.
If anything happens to me, the duty passes to you.
You have no idea what you're doing.
The special effects are diabolical. And the fake handheld camera movements. Man, I literally have this preset in my Premiere Pro that I downloaded for free.
What are you wearing? Yes, did you just stand up like this?
What is this pantomime level dialogue and acting? This episode genuinely has some of the worst editing I have ever seen in television history. Just look at this. The way each shot is put together, it's like it was edited by a child.
You want to die out here too? Like him? Like him? Like him?
They're literally not even trying at this point. It also costs too much to animate the Sea Devils' mouths, so they've got like these medallions around their necks so that we know that they're talking. Wow, guys, this is so creative.
I said leave!
He's forcing them off to die in the water.
Yes, Yaz, we can bloody see.
Of where the ship went down, and a TARDIS that can take us to the same spot in the future.
Wowee! I love that we have our main characters not letting us use our tiny consumer pea brains. They have to explain it to us, even though we could probably figure it out for ourselves. Oh, that's really cool.
Oxygen bubble.
Oh, I want to fist my screen. I'm going to fist it. I'm going to fist my screen. We have more Doctor asking questions that she will just answer herself. Honestly, it's genuinely like Chibnall has a checklist that he has to tick off when he's writing his scripts.
With me.
Sorry, how did they get back on that ship? They purposely didn't show it, so it didn't have to be explained. I am seething right now. There's like a 10-minute boring sword fight, I just do not care. And of course, it ends with Man game-ending the Sea Devil. And just to tick off another thing from the checklist, the Doctor gets all moody about it. Weapons bad, weapons bad. Ah, but it's okay when Dan does it, of course.
I think you're one of the greatest people I've ever known.
What? Oh, what? That is now Graham, Dan, and the Doctor claiming Yaz to be the greatest woman that ever existed. How can the Doctor even say this after Rose, after Martha, bloody Donna for God's sake, Clara, who literally entered her time stream to save her life, bloody River Song, who, might I just add, is the Doctor's wife? All of those women single-handedly saved the world at one point. Yaz has never done this. How on earth can anyone say that she is the best woman they've ever known? This is just lazy and poor dialogue. I am actually seething with this one. Orphan 55 looks like a bloody Van Gogh painting compared to this poorly written, terribly produced, awfully edited, shamefully performed, quote-unquote story. I strongly believe everyone who had a part to play for this episode should genuinely be ashamed. This is worse than God awful. It has to go there, but if it was my opinion, it'd be flushed down the toilet. This is cataclysmically shite. Do one. The bunting is going up right because it's time for Chibnall to get lost. Power of the Doctor. The Cement Special. This is the first episode I ever recorded a reaction to when I originally planned to start this channel in 2022. I have never been excited for a Chris Chibnall episode in my life, but this is one of them. This is it, alright? I'm so glad to see the back of Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker. Today is the day they leave forever. Bye-bye, goodbye. What I'm interested in is who the Doctor is going to return into. Is it going to be David Tennant? Is it going to be Ncuti Gatwa? I don't mind, but based on the rumours, it is rumoured that it is going to be David Tennant. If I see David Tennant in today's episode, I'm going to have a meltdown. Here we go. And of course, the episode starts with bad aim, as always. There is so much going on my screen right now. My eyes are in agony. But I see what Chibnall's trying to do. He's trying to blind us right at the start of the episode so we can't criticise the rest of it. Smart move, Chib.
Everything is under control, and we will be slowing to a gentle stop momentarily.
See, I actually like Dan, right? He's the first companion of this era I actually like. Oh, he's leaving. He's leaving. Okay. Well, guys, Dan's been returned and he's got no home. Well, at least the Doctor could help, you know, like she did with Amy. Oh no, she just shuts the door and leaves. Wow. Anyway, guys, plot needs to move forward, so Dan has now been forgotten. They're running in a straight line, man! Come on! How were the Cybermen shooting? We have the most awkward reunion between Ace, Tegan and the Doctor.
I'm Yaz, the only one here who doesn't really know what's going on.
We used to be you.
Instead of Yaz being concerned that, oh, the Doctor just leaves everyone, I might be next. No, she just looks at the Doctor like this. Now plot must move forward. Oh yeah, and the Master is back again. Oh, and Vinder's back too. For some reason. Oh, and Ashad is back too. Great. What is that, man? Oh, well, come on. You're shooting 2 pensioners on a flight of stairs. How many are there? They were swarmed around that whole spot, and you're telling me that every single shot missed. I can't wait for this era to end. It's fucking awful. It's been like this the whole way through. Yes, monsters have always had terrible shot. Come the fuck on. Like, being 3 foot away from the person you're shooting at. 2 old women at that as well. Come on. So the Master traps the Doctor, where he says he's gone through all of this effort to get her. And then you realise that this whole plan was so extra that literally all of this unit stuff was really not needed. All he needed was the Daleks to trap the Doctor, and he could have brought her here. This whole unit stuff is absolutely pointless. Haha, get it? Because Sound of Drums Man is now dancing to Rasputin. That's very good. Alright, fine. It is actually kind of funny. Alright, it's funny. It's funny. So the Master's plan gets even more confusing when he forces the regeneration so that he becomes the Doctor. The Master uses this forced regeneration to cause havoc in the universes, to damage the Doctor's name or something. Why didn't we just have the Master dress as the Doctor and do this without going through all of this hassle? Or if we were going to stick to this plan, why didn't we have Jodie herself, but with the mind of the Master? You know, to show some range or creativity? This episode was written by Chris Chibnall, so this is unnecessarily complicated and boring. And Jodie is essentially just sidelined in her own final story. Now, in contrast with the awful that we've seen so far, we have the best sequence in Chib history. Goosebumps. Goosebumps. Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes! We've got David Bradley, Colin Baker, Peter Davison, Paul McGann, and Sylvester McCoy. The first time we got classic Doctors in New Who. Well done. Yeah, we'll just ignore this bit, shall we? Oh, these absolutely beautiful sequences between Tegan and the Doctor. Oh, that... You nearly got me there, man. He nearly got me. Look at that. And again with Ace and the Doctor.
All children leave home sooner or later. We're Ace.
Even in age, they just rock it. They just do such a good job. See? Yeah, I cried. Incredible. I never thought Chibs would be able to do that. Why the hell is Graham here? Why is Graham here now? What? Why? So guys, they shove the Master back into the box and just change him back. Tegan then unplugs an Ethernet cable, which game ends the Cybermen or something. And in the big climax, Doctor then gets zippity-bopped by Kid Squid Thing. It's begun. The Doctor has started to regenerate, where we get this scene between Yaz and the Doctor having a little ice cream. Ah, how cute. The Doctor has essentially just kicked Yaz out because she wants to do this on her own. Further confirming the pure queer baiting of this era. Guys, if you don't think this is queer baiting, I'm just going to leave the definition of it here. Okay? I'll let you come to your own decision on that one. Right? At least this shot of the TARDIS here is pretty fantastic. We get this lovely AA meeting scene with the Doctor's former companions. We even have this with the late, great William Russell.
But I do miss her.
Sorry. Did you say her?
Rest in peace, King, which leaves us with the Doctor standing on the cliff face. And she actually has a wonderful closing speech. It's the least she speaks throughout this entire era, and it's perfect. The Doctor says her goodbyes and then begins to regenerate. Wow, 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 what an ending! That is brilliant! And with this beautiful, stunning soundtrack over the top to say goodbye. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, it's safe to say I was a little bit excited. The positives. The visuals in this episode are absolutely spectacular. Yaz actually had a purpose in this episode. The Doctor's send-off, short and brief, was perfection. We got nostalgia bait, which I will argue is allowed due to this being the Centipede special. And we got, of course, David bloody Tennant. Oh, it's all gone full circle. I love it. Despite the usual Chibnall tripe, an overly complicated plan from the Master, and more title cards and terrible aiming with exposition dumping left, right, centre, I will allow it, fam, just for this episode. This episode, guys, is going in good. Wow, what a way to wrap this up. So for every Doctor we've had through New Who, I have been somewhat sad about the departure, but not with Jodie. Jodie leaving was like a really heavy weight being lifted off my shoulders. Was Jodie let down by the writing? Of course she was. Was Jodie the right person for the role? Absolutely not. The first female Doctor was an absolute failure. There are other actresses out there who could play this role magnificently and bring something, but Jodie just wasn't it. I think her not watching any episodes beforehand to at least get a base understanding of what she was getting herself into was her downfall, along with Chibnall's incredibly bad writing. I genuinely have night terrors thinking back to this era. When it originally aired, I came back week after week in the hopes of improvement, and it just never came. And I know some people are doing that now with season 1, but please, if anyone out there thinks that Russell T Davies 2 is bad, I implore you to go and watch Legend of the Sea Devils and see how far we have come since these dark days. Chibnall, I appreciate you're a Doctor Who fan. I can appreciate your big ideas, but the way your ideas were executed or just not explored, the exposition heavy dialogue, the telling and not showing, and writing the Doctor to be this truly unlikable, contradictive, rude, socially awkward hypocrite would indicate that you are anything but a true Doctor Who fan. And I don't even want to start mentioning the whole Timeless Child situation, which poor Russell T Davies is having to take on because it was so underbaked. It is with great pleasure to finally close this chapter of my life and end this series. New Who is over. We've seen the golden age to the gradual decay of this once loved show that is still fighting to this day to get back on its feet. I understand a lot of people may disagree with me, and like I said before, this is just my opinion. I thank you for watching me along on this journey. This has taken up nearly a year of my life doing this series, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. But at the same time, it has caused me an unholy amount of stress, and I'm glad it's over. Next weekend, I will be releasing all 3 parts together with some included footage and extra bits, and even a music video, ? And for those of you that have already seen all 3 parts, you guys could just use it as like sleep aid or something. Just have it on the background while you're playing your video games or working, or just trying to go sleep. I don't know. I appreciate all of the support, all of the subscribers, all of you that joined me on this journey. It has been a pleasure. And guys, I'm going to go to sleep for the next 3 weeks. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.